Hello, everybody. Welcome to Max Level Movie Talk. I'm your host, Corey, and joining me again is Gunnar. Last time you guys watched us, we kind of gave our personal thoughts and opinions on Mortal Kombat, the movie as a whole. Today, we're going to touch base on that a little bit, but we're going to go more into descriptions. We're going to talk about some Easter eggs, some hidden things that even as a Mortal Kombat fan, you may or may not have noticed. Mortal Kombat is a notorious game for hiding things, and it's really cool when movies do this. You don't see it too often. So, without further ado, let us get back into the Mortal Kombat chat.
Yeah, let's get it.
All right, so Mortal Kombat opens up with Scorpion versus Sub-Zero. We've talked about it in the last video, the rivalry of the century. But most people don't know this. There's a very subtle thing. I don't know if you notice it with the buckets of water right off the bat.
I'll tell you what was noticed when I watched it. I had my fiance Shauna watching it with me, and she goes, "That's a lot of water."
What a bunch of wasted water, right? I mean, I guess if you're going to do it. So, but the throwback to this is maybe the director wanted this to happen, maybe the writer, maybe it's just us as Mortal Kombat fans reaching real far to find some cool stuff. But this harkens back to the 1995 Mortal Kombat. How do they beat Sub-Zero in the 1995 Mortal Kombat?
With a bucket of water.
With, ding, 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 you are correct, a bucket of water. So, when, I always forget his name, Hazori Hanzo?
Yep.
When he gets up to run to save the day, the bucket of water falls down in front of the camera and spills out and goes everywhere. Was that planted? Was it on purpose? We don't know. But that was the bucket of water he could have used to not be killed by Sub-Zero. Maybe.
I think it's really good cinematography, the way they have the water fall down the stairs, and I think it's a bit of a reach.
That is true. Very true. Which this leads us to the next thing, the most iconic weapon in probably Mortal Kombat history, the spear. Well, how does the spear get created?
Well, if you watch the opening scene of this one, apparently it is a gardening tool.
It is a gardening tool spearhead, yes. So Scorpion grabs a gardening tool and a rope and fastens together probably one of the coolest weapons we've ever seen, and ends up using it to beat up a bunch of bad Ling Kuei. Ling
I think it's way better than the one in the original movie.
Yes, it is way better. The 1995 spear that he uses is creepy to this day. I don't understand why the rope is alive. Maybe, whatever reached the head in that movie. We don't understand that, but we're not talking about that movie, so we're not going to go too depth in the crazy, weird alive spear. So, yeah. I just thought it was cool that we've now have a tool or a weapon that he used, and we've given it some life. We've given it a backstory in itself. Like, why does Scorpion ever even have the spear? So now it's kind of cool that they set that up. So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I think giving like such an iconic weapon, like an actual backstory, is really cool.
Yeah.
Drawing off of that, in I believe it was Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance is the one where like they first started introducing weapons. I believe it's that one.
Yeah.
That's where Sub-Zero starts making that ice sword that you see a return in this movie that he uses.
Yeah. That's very true. Very true. All right, so that's basically the two big spoilers in that opening scene. Then we move right into Cole training, and there's a couple things that kind of sprinkle in here. If you notice, everything in this movie related with Cole has a yellow and black tone to it, those colors. There's a reason for it. Scorpion's colors are black and yellow. So everything they try and throw at you to show that he's the great ancestor of Scorpion is black and yellow. His gloves, he ends up getting a bracelet later on in the movie that happens to be black and yellow. And there's a scene where he ends up fighting a character that they throw kind of an Easter egg into it.
It's not that he's fighting him. When Jax goes in to talk to him, is when Jax goes, "Well, I saw when you took the belt from Eddie Tobias."
Yes.
It's a throwback to Ed Boon and John Tobias, the original creators of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, which is definitely one of the bigger Easter egg drops in the movie that if you are a Mortal Kombat fan, you instantly picked up on. Or you thought it was just a weird coincidence. So that was definitely interesting. After that, we kind of jump forward to Sonya and Kano and Cole when they're in... It might have just been Cole and Sonya at the time. When they're in there looking at the wall of cool things. It's just kind of goes that conspiracy theory wall.
Yeah, the way it played out was you got Cole in his fight scene, Sub-Zero in his attack on them.
Yep.
And then Jax sends Cole to go find Kano.
Oh, yeah, that's how it goes.
Sonya, not Kano.
Yep. And then as she's kind of scanning over and she's kind of telling stories on what you're looking at on the pieces of paper, it kind of goes over a few different things. One of the things was under a picture was, you could see Motaro. Motaro is one of the characters, one of the final bosses in one of the earlier Mortal Kombats. So seeing that character was kind of cool on the wall to see him maybe in the future.
I believe that was Mortal Kombat 3.
Mortal Kombat 3, that is correct. And that guy had a nasty kick. It was the worst move ever. Was that the one with Nightwolf in there? Nightwolf is in that scene also?
Yep, Nightwolf.
There's a picture of Nightwolf when she's scanning through there, so maybe that's going to be some kind of throw out to the next movie. We're going to see a Nightwolf. And I believe there's one more Easter egg.
If you're a fan of the more modern Mortal Kombats, they throw in Kotal Khan, which is like an Aztec warrior.
Yeah. Kotal Khan, if you've heard of Shao Kahn is the conqueror, the bad Khan. He's always just trying to take over everything. Kotal Khan is kind of like the more peaceful one. He's usually in the game, he's kind of friends with Earthrealm and is more worried about inner fighting than outer fighting. So again, most people in Mortal Kombat aren't good or bad, but he's definitely one of the more good guys if you're looking at the cons. It was just kind of cool seeing all those things sprinkled in on that little.
That wall also talks about giant ice storms, which I think is a pull to like the powers that you see Sub-Zero use in the scene before.
Yeah.
And then lightning storms.
So all of the superpowers that a lot of these guys have were up there. Which then leads you into the Kano fight scene with Reptile, where he rips out his heart. Obviously, if you're a hardcore Mortal Kombat fan, you know it's just strictly one of the top fatalities in the game that you can remember from back in the day. And then when Reptile scratches his face, you notice that right off the bat, Kano usually shoots lasers out of his eye. Well, before we know about the chakra, aka Arcana, is what it's actually called. I like to call it really chakra for some reason. But before we know about Arcanas, we're all waiting for Kano's laser eye. Like, when's he going to get it? You know he's got to have it. And so Reptile scratches his eye, and I'm like, is this going to be like a foreshadowing? He's going to get his laser eye soon? It ends up not being the case, but I just thought of it. Like, I was like, that's kind of cool. But
I did like the fact that, like, they added the acid blood in, because that's one of Reptile's, like, it's supposed to be acid spit.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't really ever get to see him use it.
I know, right? He gets beat up too quick. Another throwback to that is when Reptile's running around invisible. So when you could play Reptile, I believe it was Mortal Kombat 2 was the earliest one you could play Reptile.
Yep.
The invisible move, if you ever went invisible, it was good and bad, because when you did the ability, you didn't even know where you were. You were just on screen. So then you just converted to like button mashing and running around, because you're like, I don't know where I am either. So there's no bonus really for me. So it was probably one of the best worst abilities I've ever played in a fighting game, was turning invisible for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So,
and in more modern games, you're not really invisible. You're just harder to see. So it's not great either.
Oh, yeah. Another funny throwback to original Mortal Kombat is Reptile was actually one of the first, I believe, hidden characters that they put into Mortal Kombat. And to be able to get him, you'd have to do a certain setup on, what was it, the bridge?
Yep.
I believe you had to like get 2 flawless victories and then do a pit fatality while there was a moon in the sky, or you had to get like the whoopee ability or the whoopee thing. And then if you did that, you had to fight Reptile in the pit, which again was, when you did that for the first time, it was an amazing feeling, because there wasn't too many weird Easter eggs you could do in those games back in the day. So when you did that, it was like a huge accomplishment. It felt pretty good about it. So just a weird fact. So then we roll up into we make to the cave of Easter eggs.
The cave of Easter eggs.
The cave of Easter eggs, as we call it, or Raiden's castle.
Yeah, Raiden's temple.
Raiden's temple, yes.
Pans over a bunch of different paintings. You see the legendary Kung Lao, Goro ripping somebody in half, a woman who I haven't looked too deep into it, but I believe it's Sindel.
Could be Sindel.
With the souls flying in the background. And then what was the last painting?
Was it Goro ripping someone in half?
Nope,
We mentioned that one already?
Yep.
Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn with his thunder hammer thingy.
Yep.
A little throwback to that.
And then you see, of course, Katana's fan blades. And then one of the unique ones that you really see that not a lot of people really pick up on. Well, you obviously pick up on it because Kano tries to steal it.
Yep.
It's very obvious that it's supposed to be there. That's actually Shinnok's amulet, and Shinnok is like the baddest of the bad guys in like all the lore. He is the elder god of the Netherrealm. And so that opens up a possibility to see more of the Netherrealm fighters, which Scorpion kind of falls into. And then that brings us into the topic of what their plans are for Sub-Zero, because it's very strongly hinted and almost like 100% confirmed that Noob Saibot is going to be in the next game, and Noob Saibot is Sub-Zero after he dies and is sent to the Netherrealm, and so he becomes a Netherrealm fighter from there. So
yeah, now it's definitely when they showed that amulet for the first time. Yeah, there are two things happen. If you're a Mortal Kombat fan, you play the video games, you know what the amulet is. So essentially, what the amulet does is it amplifies the character's powers. So in the movie, it would amplify their arcana, most likely is what it's going to do. Chakra, in my terms. It's going to amplify that ability. It also has the power to, I think, steal people's souls, but also has a way to twist them. So it's kind of like the more you use it, the more powerful it makes you, you get evil in a way. But if you don't know that, if you don't play the games, it's just kind of like one of those, again, those Easter eggs that you as just a casual watcher, you'd never know that because they don't go in any explanation. They don't have time to explain it in the movie. So that's kind of a cool little backdrop on that amulet Kano tries to steal.
yeah.
Another cool throwback was we're talking about the wall scrolls, as you want to call them, whatever they are. The legendary Kung Lao that we see on there is one of the great ancestors of the Kung Lao in the movie. He actually stopped Shang Tsung from winning the 10th tournament eons ago, from winning the 10th one and being able to obviously invade another realm. So maybe that's kind of a reason why they wanted to kill off Kung Lao in this movie, is first they show us the legendary Kung Lao. If you know the history, you know Kung Lao's ancestor stopped it before. Well, we got to kill the new Kung Lao because if not, he's going to stop it again. So that might be kind of a throwback to that happening later on in the movie. Just a thought. Food for thought. So, anything else in that cave scene? The katanas we covered. Again, if you're not familiar with Mortal Kombat, they showed katanas in the background. That is Katana's weapon of choice.
Oh, it's not katanas. It's like a fan.
Yeah, the fans.
It's a fan
katana.
blade. It's called fan blades.
Fan blades.
What she's holding right here.
Yeah, this lovely lady right here. And she has a pretty huge role in the original 1995 movie and Annihilation. So we definitely will see her. We won't talk about Annihilation.
Well, she has a huge role in the story of Mortal Kombat.
Yes, so we will probably see her in number 2. If we don't, I'll be very surprised. So that leads us right into when Shang Tsung arrives with Cabal. I kind of want to explain Cabal to a lot of people because nobody really has any idea who Cabal is. So original story, if you go by the games, Cabal is an Earthrealm fighter. He actually was a police officer. And one of his buddies was called Stryker. Stryker's from Mortal Kombat 3. We don't see him too much. A lot of backstory about him is that he only has grenades and guns. He doesn't have any superpowers. So he just never had a real connection to Mortal Kombat, so they never used him that much. But in the original Mortal Kombat 3, him, Stryker, and Kano kind of had a thing going on because, what was it? He turned bad. So Cabal used to be a police officer that was good. Cabal kind of twisted him and turned him bad and turned him into a black dragon, a rebel for hire. Gun for hire, per se. And when in the Mortal Kombat terms Annihilation happened, what happens is Outworld melds with Earth, and the two started melding, so they had to defend Earth. Every average person even had to help fight, and that was how Stryker and Cabal got involved. Well, that's how Cabal got his gas mask and his suit. He's always super fast. Cabal's always had that speed, but that's how he got injured in the game. So now we come to the movie, and they've twisted his storyline. He's definitely not the video game Cabal that we know of. So we know that he has his mask because of Kano, because he explains it. That's why he got the Iron Lung. So they don't go much further. But if you notice, Cabal is wearing his police vest. There's like a scratched out word that says police. So they're kind of hinting towards that. At some point, somewhere in there too, he's wearing a badge, and the badge says Stryker. So that is a very huge kind of hidden Easter egg in there that if you didn't know what was going on. But then they don't say anything else about Cabal. So how Cabal turned from an Earth fighter into Shang Tsung's lackey, we don't know. And if Kano gave him this mask, why would he be buddies with him just off a whim? Even though they're rebels for hire, guns for hire, but suddenly like, hey, I know Kano, let's get him on our side. So it's kind of a weird twist.
Well, if you go back to the dialogue between Kano and Cabal when they first meet on either side of like Raiden's bubble, Cabal makes it very clear that Kano is not the leader of the Black Dragons, that he is, in fact, the leader of the Black Dragons.
I did not catch up on that.
Yeah, and then Kano goes, I'm the Black Dragon. What are you talking about?
Oh, gotcha. That kind of makes sense then. Maybe they had a tiff over who the leader was.
Yeah.
But that kind of explains a little bit. And then we're still kind of wondering why Cabal's with Shang Tsung. So.
And why they're like, Kano's just like, oh, yeah, no problem. I'll help you guys.
Yeah. And he switches pretty fast. And again, that's Kano's backstory mentality. He'll stab his mother in the back. But It is what it is, as they say. We move up to the sweep. The sweep is kind of a cool throwback when they're doing their training montage.
Yeah.
So if you're a fighting player in any game, whether you're playing Tekken or Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, you get really annoyed with people who just do the same move over and over. So when they're doing their training montage, and I think it's Kano and Liu Kang. I'm pretty
Kano
sure
and Kung Lao.
Kano and Kung Lao. Was it Kung Lao?
Yep.
Oh, no, maybe it was. Either way, whatever character it was.
Liu Kang is fighting Cole.
Yeah. They come up and do the sweep. And then he gets sweeped, jumps back up, gets sweeped again. He's like, what, you do the same move over and over? Just a cool little jab at, the thing that most fighting people hate with a passion. That's the same move people.
Yeah,
or people that play Eddie Gordo, or people that play Maxi and
all right, first of all,
Caliber.
back off Eddie, all right? Just because you can't block it, don't get mad.
Right? So it's kind of just a cool jab at, in wordplay. Moving forward from there, the sweeps. They finally bring Kano's actual ability, obviously, when they're fighting over the table.
Yep.
Kung Lao is like jabbing at him until eventually he just shoots a beam out of his eye. That's what we're waiting for the whole movie. Like, it's one of the iconic moves, but I thought it was kind of pushed a little too hard.
There was Kano. That's not Kano's iconic move to me. The eye laser.
Oh, the part of it. Yeah.
His most iconic move to me is the cannonball.
Oh, that's true.
Where he runs and then spins.
Yeah.
And I was like, when am I gonna get to see the cannonball?
That's true. We did get to see a lot of the other iconic moves from most characters that they did. So it's true. Maybe in the future one. So.
Well, no, he got taken out.
He got taken out. I keep saying this. We're going to put that on the end here when I got some theories for that. So another funny thing is Shriek, whatever her name is, the huge winged chick. And some of our research that I've been looking into this week, that she really was only in the movie because the writer liked her a lot. And she didn't get enough love wherever in any other game that she's been in. So they wrote her into the movie, which, okay, makes sense. You want to get a character in there because you like them. So they get 10 seconds of movie time, and then they get probably the best fatality on there, Kung Lao's gross fatality.
Yeah, but it's super memorable.
It's memorable, yeah. So now you're going to remember her just getting chopped in half. I just thought it was an interesting fact that that's how you got a character on screen, just to murk them. But it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do that to my favorite character, but...
True, true. Going forward, any other weird things that we missed?
Just a couple of Easter egg things. Right after Kano's fatality, he says Kano wins, like the iconic video game thing.
Yep.
Kung Lao, after his fatality, says flawless victory.
Yep.
And then they say it's time to test your might, which is another huge throwback, like right as they start the training montage.
Yep, to the OG, the very first Mortal Kombat. Every couple levels, you had to do like a button mashing game to test your might. And then you'd be like, whatever it be, like chopping bricks, or there's a couple other different things you do. But that was just kind of, every Mortal Kombat has had those iconic words thrown somewhere in the movie. And like you said, it was like flawless victory, fatality, finish him. I can't remember test your might in any other one, so it was kind of cool they jammed it in this one. I'd have to go back and watch the first two movies, but I don't remember saying them in the first ones. But just kind of cool throwback to the words of the game, to more memorialize the words that you hear over and over every single time you play Mortal Kombat. So that's really cool.
Yeah, so then we covered up to Kung Lao's fatality. Yep. So that jumps you right into the biggest debate of the movie, the teleport scene. Oh yeah. So
there's a lot of controversy behind the teleport scene. Because obviously you can teleport anywhere, right?
Yeah.
The way it sounds, you can teleport anywhere. So Raiden, for one, he can't get involved in most things that are happening, even though Shang Tsung can. Raiden can't save Kung Lao from being killed, but he can teleport people anywhere. So where does he teleport some people?
So it was strongly believed that Shang Tsung is the one who teleported the bad guys places.
Yeah.
Which I don't believe it's true, because you watch like the scene where Cole's like, hey, you can teleport people anywhere, right, Raiden? And he goes, yeah. And then you get the whole teleport montage, and then you see Sonya get to go back to her trailer, and Kano's there. You see Jax go to the iconic bridge from the games and fight General Hammerman.
Yeah, General Hammerman.
And then Cole in his fight with Goro. And a big complaint is people are like, why would you teleport Goro to a garage?
Yeah.
And me personally, I think like that is wholly used as character development. So like after the scene where Cole defeats Goro and he gets his power and he goes back and he sees Raiden again, and then right before like the big fight at the end of the movie happens, Raiden makes a comment about him like having the true blood of Hanzo in his body, because he did get his power. The scene before that, he basically like called him useless,
Which is true. He's pretty much been useless the whole time.
Yeah. But then he gets his power, and he only gets his power because he has to defend his family and save them from Goro. Like Scorpion was supposed to save his family from Sub-Zero in the opening scene of the movie. I think it's supposed to be a drawback and similarities between the two of those.
Yeah.
And that's what I think personally. So
yeah, no, I completely agree with that. The whole, when you go back and look at it, when you watch it the first time, you don't think that deep into it, but then you go back and think about it and go, yeah, that makes no sense. If you can teleport him anywhere, why? There's just to further the movie storyline. That's about it, because any other thing would not, weird. So then we come down to, I think we're in the last couple fight scenes to finish off the movie and talk about Kano getting killed again. Well, since he's supposed to have, in most of the games, he's got some kind of like mechanical eye, or he's got like an eye plate in pretty much all the Mortal Kombats he's in. Well, how does he get killed in the end?
He gets stabbed in the eye.
Gets stabbed in the eye with the troll, or the
garden gnome.
The garden gnome that he spit on earlier in the movie. So the garden gnome gets revenge at the end for being spit on. But to harken back to that death isn't the final answer that Shang Tsung says, maybe we'll see Kano again, and that's how he's going to get his cool plated eye. However they bring him back, however he comes back, nobody knows.
So my only callback to that is Jax got his dragon mark from killing somebody with the mark.
Yeah.
Sonya doesn't have a mark the entire movie until she beats Kano.
Beats Kano, yep.
So he has to die there.
So funny thing about that is she kills Kano to get her Arcana symbol.
Yep.
And then she instantly masters.
Bam!
She masters Arcana like that. Because I'm pretty sure the next time you see her after that, she's shooting her lasers at people.
Yep.
Like, all right, I guess she just jumped right into that. So she doesn't have to master
natural.
it. Yeah, just strictly natural. Yeah.
These have had these the whole time, guys.
I know, right? Sorry, man. Sorry you guys had to work for yours, or like you had to almost die to get yours, or
your family almost got murdered.
Jax had to use his chicken arms
to
save her, to get his Arcana, to get his magic arms, which is also weird because you think, how is it that everybody has internal abilities that this Arcana comes from, but Jax has chicken arms that turn into huge, awesome metal arms because of his Arcana. I can see that the Arcana kind of flows and goes with you as you move on, but as far as I know, Jax has his Arcana forever, for a long time.
He hasn't had his Arcana. He hasn't, because when he fights Raiden, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have any powers.
Yeah, but he's had the tattoo.
Yes, he's had the mark.
So he's had the mark. So the mark, obviously, if you don't get those chicken arms till after, and then suddenly you get super arms, it has to go with you, because if not, your Arcana would be something that you unlock from the inner you, and that's how you get your powers. But your inner you would never know that you're going to have metal arms in your life, unless it just can also tell the future. Your Arcana can tell the future. That was just weird about that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so whatever. That was one of the low points of the Arcana that I didn't like, was just...
Yeah, you could have just gave Jax metal arms.
And that's how in the history of all of fighting games, Jax loses arms and they just get mechanical arms. And then, unless you're Annihilation, you just get attachments to your normal arms. Is that what happens in Annihilation? Because doesn't he take them off at the end? He's just like, I don't need these. Let's go.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's just rubber arms in that one. Big old giant rubber arms.
Yeah.
But that was a low point of the Arcana. Why I never liked it, and they just kept messing with it in that movie. Yeah, that's why I don't like Arcana. But, so...
yeah, because his actual moves in the game are the ground pound and the clap.
Yeah, just being super strong.
It sends off shockwaves. So that should have been his.
It should have just been super strong. And then they could have just attached it to the arms.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, I could have done without the whole chicken arm punching bag scene.
Yeah, yep. The scene, we get up towards the final fight, the Cole versus Sub-Zero versus Scorpion.
Tag Team Scorpion.
Tag Team Scorpion. So there's a couple memorable spots of that. After they beat him, obviously he pulls his hat or his mask off, and then does his fatality, which is another iconic fatality from the movie, all the way back to the first one. And then when he pulls his mask off, you can see he kind of goes into a skull form. After he kills him, he kind of steps away and then gets summoned back to hell, wherever that is, or netherworld, nether realm. Well, if you listen real closely, there's a voice that you can hear. It's really hard to hear, but it's like beckoning him back. So that could be a throwback, not a throwback, he's not in there, but that could be a hearkening to Qui-Gon?
It's either going to be Shinnok or Quan Chi.
Quan Chi, there you go, Quan Chi, because, not Squanchy, this isn't Rick and Morty. Quan Chi, because he's one of the leaders of the nether realm, what do you want to call it. So we think that might be a good ploy into the second movie also. And then also, because of Sub-Zero being killed and turned into Noob Saibot, which people have talked about is going to happen. I mean, if you've read any articles. And then suddenly Scorpion and Noob Saibot may be allies.
Yep.
Maybe fighting for the nether realm. So we'll see where that goes. We got a lot of options to move into. So.
Yeah, and then the final scene kind of just like ties in the whole weapons, the spear story.
Yep. We're
being reignited by the blood of Scorpion's ancestor.
Yeah, because Raiden can tell the future, so he saved a weapon from centuries ago to give to Cole. That way Cole could bleed on it in the final fight of the movie to have Scorpion come back and save him.
Yep.
And then,
but he's not allowed to intervene.
But Raiden can't intervene, let me tell you.
Can't save his best fighter, just his worst.
Yep. So, I mean, that was pretty much when you break down a bunch of descriptions of characters that you didn't know much about. Or talked about some of the cool Easter eggs. We had a bunch of them. If there's any that we forgot, or that you found out about that we don't know about, let us know. Comment down below. We can talk about it in future videos, because there's a ton in that movie, more than most people can find in a watching or two watchings. So, other than that, we go into some after thoughts of other people who've done reviews about this. Or I think one thing that's helped this movie out a lot is that, even though there's tons of questions, tons of unanswered things, tons of open ends, the writer, Russo, has come out and has done a ton of articles in the last couple of weeks. There's been a social media blitz for this movie. I mean, it could be that there's not much else going on besides Aaron Rodgers that people want to talk about right now. But every time I look something up, it's Mortal Kombat related. Everything that pops up on my Facebook, Mortal Kombat related. Again, it could be the first time that we've seen a nerd type event movie like this come out, and there's a lot of places that like talking about it, but there's a lot. So
we could tie in the comment we got in the last video.
Oh, we should talk about that too. Yep. So there's a person who commented on our last video, Tekking 321, Tekking with some numbers. Good play if that's on the actual Tekken fighting game, because that's one of my favorite games, so you get bonus points for that. But he brought up a really awesome point. So early on in the movie, when Sub-Zero's hunting down one of the Earth's fighters, Jax?
No, he's hunting down Cole.
Cole. Oh, okay, so he's on Cole.
Yeah, he does not like the Shin Ryu.
No, not at all. It comes off as very thriller, very horror-like. When you just look at, I mean, the movie's kind of a dark movie from the get-go, but after he said that and I thought about it and rewatched it, I was like, it is very, like, it's got that horror feeling to it. Could this movie have been, instead of just an action-packed fighting movie, could they have gone that direction and had Sub-Zero hunting down people that are eventually going to be in the tournament? Because you still could have had a lot of fights. Well, you still could have done a pretty good amount of
I think
movie.
they could have kept almost the same exact story,
yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So you have that whole opening scene where Sub-Zero is like summoning these ice storms and just killing civilians trying to get to these fighters, and then disappears into the mist.
Yep.
And then the next fighter that you see trying to kill people is Reptile. You could have had that super terrifying because you can't see him.
Oh, yeah. That could have been like an Aliens play.
Yeah.
Like the very first Alien movie, where it was more of a thriller horror. That would have been awesome. And
like
that he could have been hunting them then.
Yeah, running through that like
Sub-Zero.
trailer park thing,
Yep.
like until you finally like are able to take him down.
Yep. Again, that'd have been a very risky play on the movie, because who wants to watch a horror thriller, Mortal Kombat? But I think it would have been a cool. Probably would have been a better like a fan-made thing if someone did something like that. But I could see where it could have gone that direction, and who knows, that could have been a good direction to lead up to an action-packed fighting movie rather than this movie into an action-packed fighting sequel. So.
And then like Shang Tsung with this black cloud teleportation, he could have just like snapped in, walked through the black crowd, and grabbed Kung Lao instead of just like, well, I'm just gonna grab it.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, you could have.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it would have been phenomenal if they would have went with like more of a thriller fighter instead of like.
What it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly. So if you look at some of the articles that are going on right now, The last article I read, and again, all these are just articles online. You don't know how much truth is behind it. They've already greenlit a sequel, number 2. I think where that comes back to is that the movie didn't have a good storyline, but everything else in the movie was good enough to give us a sequel, to make people actually appreciate it, which we do. And then they say they want to make a trilogy of it, at least a minimum of a trilogy. Obviously, the guy who played Sub-Zero is in it for up to 4 movies. They said he's signed on for, which could be a trilogy and a prequel, Sub-Zero vs. Scorpion.
Or you could get a trilogy, like trilogy of Gathering of Fighters.
Yeah.
So like this one was like Earthrealm gathering its fighters, and then the next one will start out that way, leading into like another place because Outworld lost a bunch of its fighters. So you wrap up Earth getting its, Outworld replenishing its ranks. The third one, like Netherrealm, getting all of its fighters from the fighters who die in the previous 2 movies.
Oh yeah.
And then the 4th movie being the actual tournament.
Yep. Oh, that leads us to probably one of the biggest spoilers that we missed, because it was the very, very, literally very end, Johnny Cage's poster on the wall.
Yeah.
So at the very end of the movie, you have Cole, who's going to try to go to Hollywood to acquire another good fighter of the Earthrealm. And obviously they show the bottom half of it because we don't know who the top half of Johnny Cage is going to be yet.
Because he's uncast.
And if we'd like to talk about who they may cast for it, who do you think they should cast for it?
Me personally, if they're going to cast a big name actor, the only one that fits, because I played all the Mortal Kombat, the only one that fits that person in my mind is Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. So not Ryan Reynolds, is what you're saying? Not Ryan Reynolds.
I don't like Ryan Reynolds for the movie. I'd rather see him go with a no-name actor and get a start rather than cast Ryan Reynolds.
Fair enough.
Ryan Reynolds does a great job in the roles that he plays. Just don't want to see him in that one.
So I think a cool throwback to this would be playing, coming crazy on it, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Jean-Claude Van Damme would be an amazing, I think they said he was 60 years old, 60-year-old Johnny Cage. Because this is going to lead me into my next story. So apparently the original Mortal Kombat original Mortal Kombat game was actually supposed to just be an action fighting game starring none other than Jean-Claude Van Damme himself. I can't remember what the name was. I couldn't find it, but it was some weird name like Van Damned or The Damned. But because he had some kind of licensing issue with Sega at the time, some image issue, that he could not do that. So then they made Mortal Kombat, and then they made Johnny Cage in his likeness. Hence the name Johnny Cage, JC, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Get it? JC, Jean-Claude. Oh. So they end up going back to Jean-Claude Van Damme when they made the 1995 movie and say, hey, would you like to play Johnny Cage? We actually based him off of you. And he goes, sorry, I'm already in Street Fighter as Guile.
Which is the Sega tie-in.
Ooh, that's probably why they couldn't do it from there. Yep. So, and obviously Mortal Kombat was the better of the 2 fighting movies. Even though Street Fighter, for how bad it was still not bad. I mean, I still have a place in my heart for that.
I
know, right? So to see him come back would be this awesome full circle thing. You know, even many, many years later as an old guy, they can make him look young with technology nowadays.
They don't. Honestly, if they do go that route, they don't have to make him look young. Just have Johnny Cage be an old guy.
Yeah, that's true. You never know. I mean, they've changed up some other things, so why not?
Cole Young. He's
that could be his Arcana. His Arcana is just to look old.
Yeah. Well, no, he's got Shadow Kick.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
And then he'll do splits, punching the gonads.
Speaking of Johnny Cage and the upcoming movies, I did watch a funny skit about Johnny Cage and why he wasn't in this one. It's just like the whole premise behind the skit was like, no, Johnny, no one wants to get hit in the balls anymore.
That is over with. That was so 2000. No one ball taps anymore. I'm trying to think of any other articles that popped out that are pretty awesome. So in the sequel, number 2 Mortal Kombat, if they make it, they wanted to get Rain in there, and they end up taking him out because they didn't want to have to worry about telling a backstory for him. I read an article about that, and I could see some issues of this movie is that we watched an hour and 10-minute movie that was supposed to be pre-setting up Mortal Kombat and telling the stories of people, even though we didn't get that many stories. And they cut Rain because they didn't feel they had enough time to tell a story of what Rain does, which is kind of weird.
Rain is an outworld ninja who has the power to control water. He is Katana's sister.
I haven't fight Sub-Zero. So.
He's Katana's brother. So
it's just weird that...
There you go. Told his backstory in one shot.
So, and that would lead us into the next conversation of who they even bring in number 2. It's like clearly Katana would have to make an appearance at this point to even build her up her name.
Katana is gonna have to make an appearance, which kind of disappointing, since how like they already wrote Melina off, because I don't think she's gonna make a return.
Yeah,
and that's like one of the classic rivalries.
Yep. What other character would you like to see if they come back?
Mocap.
There we go. We're done. That's it. It's over. Click.
No. I'd like to see Bo Raicho. They do make mention of him. That's another Easter egg we didn't really talk about.
Where do they catch him at?
Kung Lao and Liu Kang mentioned that Bo Raicho is their trainer, which he is.
That's awesome. That's a pretty cool throwback then.
Yeah, I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he like a drunken master? That's the big guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be cool to see him in the second one. Maybe he'll come in and find out that Kung Lao got killed, and he'll want some type of revenge.
Yeah.
For killing of his students.
I'd like to see Quan Chi. That would be really cool.
Quan Chi, or because they have the amulet, they could definitely get Shinnok in there.
Yeah.
I think the problem with bringing Shinnok in now, though, is that
you already have a big baddie.
And again, we kind of talked about how this movie skipped around a little bit, and I found out through some of the articles that Shang Tsung is supposed to be the big baddie in the next one, and he wasn't supposed to be the big baddie in this one. That's why it kind of threw us off a bit. So the second Mortal Kombat sequel, he will probably be the big baddie. And then that might lead us into Shao Kahn, part of the trilogy. And then we'll see, maybe that might lead to Shinnok, because it should be the step up, the correct order of who we're going to be facing. So, but who knows? So that's why we probably won't see Shao Kahn in the next one, because if Shang Tsung is set to be the bad guy, set to be the big baddie, we can't throw Shao Kahn in there. So it's just weird.
And then the other character I'd really like to see is Smoke, just because he's my second favorite character behind Scorpion.
Yeah. They didn't bring him up in either or anywhere in this. You have Sector.
Yeah.
And Cyrax, who are actually two of my favorite characters. If I had to pick to see somebody in the next movie, I'd like to see a Sector or Cyrax pop in.
Well,
get a robot rolling.
You might get a robot Sub-Zero.
Robots, that's true.
Yeah, because he is an existing character, Cyborg Sub-Zero.
That's true. Very true.
So they might roll that in.
With Cabal being in this one and having Stryker's badge, I'm guessing we won't see Stryker. He was never a popular character, so I don't suspect we'll get him.
No, I think if they were going to use Stryker, they could have used Stryker like they did Sonya in this one.
Yeah.
As like a fighter with no powers, because that's what she was the whole movie. And then just have it never get the Chakra Arcana / Dragon.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the other thought that they don't really go too in depth about either is, do other fighters, like if they find Johnny Cage, do you think he's going to have the Arcana?
I don't think he's going to know he has it. I think he's going to have the mark. Like the dragon mark that signifies him as a champion. I don't think he's going to have Shadow Kick yet, though.
Yeah. You never know. Maybe that's part of his secrets.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he's just doing that on screen. And everyone's like, yeah, no, that's visual effects.
After going back and doing this and talking about Mortal Kombat, I realized two things. In the last video, I opened up with the awesome background music to Mortal Kombat. I've come to the conclusion that I don't think any other movie, any other opening sequence or any other song sequence can get you pumped up or motivated as much as just hearing that opening Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Nothing. I had to think about it the last couple of days, and I could not find anything. And I go back and I just hit play on that video and listen to that, and it'd be like, this is legit. That was amazing.
The only thing that I'd say comes close is Eye of the Tiger.
I guess, is that for a training montage, maybe?
Yeah.
I guess, but...
You running up some stairs?
That's true.
You running up some stairs. I'd rather hear Eye of the Tiger than Mortal Kombat.
I don't know. That's a rough one. I guess maybe for training montage, I would take that over that. But anything else, I don't think I could beat that.
I mean, we can settle. We can find some stairs and do a race.
I don't think that has to do with the music. I think it has to do with me being really fat.
So. No. Just not a race against yourself.
I think last time we raced, though, I think I beat you.
No, I was the first one around.
I think we're running up the hill.
No, we went around Devil's Lake.
Devil's Lake was not what I'm talking about. Sir. I'm talking about when we ran up the hill and ran down the hill. I think I won that one that night.
I don't recall this.
Mm-hmm. You blocked out of your mind.
Yeah.
But so, and then I realized that the number one scene. So if I did take a movie scene after I watched the 1995 one, the scene that you see Raiden go down in the leaky boat. No, he comes in afterwards. It's when Shang Tsung comes out and he introduces Scorpion and Sub-Zero for the first time. I realized that that scene right there, out of all the movies I've watched, is probably one of my favorite scenes. Well, one, we've never seen any characters on the big screen like that before when that movie came out. But just to see Scorpion and Sub-Zero walk out as he beckons them out was probably one of my top 10, if not the best #1 spot scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
I'm gonna
And
go
it
out.
was so simple. Like,
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna say
break that.
comic design or costume design. Costume design in the first movie was better
oh,
than this one.
you're still upset about those masks?
Yeah, don't like Sub-Zero and Scorpion. I think they look way better in the original movie. That classic
they're both
ninja
good.
look.
Yeah, it's classic. It's very cosplay.
And the white eyes.
Yeah.
The white eyes on Scorpion really sell it.
Oh yeah, big time. That's
Until
for
that
sure.
bird comes out of his hand.
Oh, that was, yeah. And then we don't know where it goes from there.
Yeah.
That's a whole different episode. Maybe we'll get to that. We'll talk about that. But other than that, I think that was. I think we circled back and got a bunch of those missed eggs. That we're talking about. So.
I know we kind of cut it short last time on the last fight. I mean, it's the best fight in the whole movie. If you're here and you've stuck through us with 2 episodes, you've seen that fight, and
I hope so.
Yeah, there's not much
If not,
we can.
you either don't ever want to watch it, or you want to run and watch it to see how our descriptions fit the movie. So
yeah, but yeah, that last fight is like the reason to watch the movie.
I mean, it's funny thing is that the very opening, where the Scorpion Sub-Zero thing starts off, and they're like fighting just the ninjas right off the bat with this cool old school spear. You start with him, and that's awesome, and then you finish with a fight, which is, like he said, one of the best fights. To open and finish that strong was really good. I think that's what really saved that movie. Most movies, you end and you feel meh. Most movies, or the beginning, you feel meh. But when you can like have the opening fight be awesome, have the finishing fight be awesome, and then be indifferent about the middle of the movie, I think that's what really helped that movie out a lot. That was huge.
We didn't talk about Sub-Zero's fatality.
Sub-Zero's fatality. Which one was that?
He freezes Jax's arms.
Oh yeah, when he rips his arms off. Yeah.
In typical Mortal Kombat fashion, he beats people with them.
Yeah, but then you don't have Jax not actually coming back, so
yeah,
that's why that wasn't really. We couldn't even qualify that as fatality.
Yeah,
because Jax survived.
That was the point in the movie that the point in the movie that I laughed the second hardest, because you don't realize how funny it is to watch a man flail without arms. Yeah.
And then, so another article we read, which is kind of, I talked about it last episode, where there's supposed to be multiple more gory fatalities. That was supposed to be so much more gory that apparently, in an article I read today, they were supposed to get, was it an
NC-17
NC-17 rating. They had to cut 7 of the gory fatalities out, or part of the gory fight scenes out, because they would have not gotten rated R then. And the difference is that, like, NC-17, you cannot watch the movie. Period.
If you're under the age of 18.
Yep. So that's how bad that they originally wanted to go with it. So my thought is, it's Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat has always pushed the boundaries of that, especially going back to an arcade game that was one of the bloodiest, that had people up in arms about how bad the game was. You know, kids shouldn't be playing this. Nobody should be playing this. This is just a violent game. To now be like, oh, well, we need to push for rated R because we need, obviously it's an industry that they have to make money.
Yep.
They want more people to see it. They want teenagers and kids to be able to see it. I mean, even though it's supposed to be a gory movie. I don't know what your thoughts for pushing, if they would have pushed the envelope and gotten the NC-17.
Well, it was also you that told me that you read an article that said that Kiss of Death, which is Sonya's fatality, was supposed to be in it.
Yep. That
the
might have been one
least gory fatalities in the game. And they got cut somehow.
Oh, yeah. So that one got cut.
So,
and this gets in a very touchy subject where they didn't want Sonya. One of Sonya's moves in the game is the Kiss of Death. She just blows something and a little heart comes out and hits them and they blow up. That it may have been too sexist for a female character to blow a kiss to kill somebody. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Again, very touchy.
So depending on how big that explosion was.
Yeah.
I think that one could have stayed in. I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Out of all the characters that are currently, we know are going to be in the next one, what fatalities would you like to see?
If they bring one character I'd like to see in the second one, Baraka.
Not
Baraka.
what I'm reaching for.
Ooh,
not what I'm reaching for here.
All right.
Out of the characters we know are going to be in it,
Yeah.
what fatality would you like to see?
I would have to go with Raiden.
Raiden?
I just want to see Raiden because it was actually a pretty bad fatality. It was so bad I loved it. Is he just grabbed somebody and just shocked them until they died. It wasn't gory whatsoever. He would just go and then they'd be dead. Right? Of all these gory fatalities, this guy rips the heart out. This guy freezes you, and uppercuts you, or pulls your spine out of your head.
That's the one I want to see.
Cool one. Scorpion shoots a fireball, you turn into a skeleton. But Raiden, the Lord of Lightning, just walks up and literally just fondles you till you die. Like, me. So I'd like to see that just because it'd be funny to
Do you want like the skeleton flashing?
Oh, yeah, and you have to be really cheesy. Get that skeleton flash. The old school Skell Flash. That would be cool. I'd like to see that. If not, I'd actually like to see a different type of fatality, kind of like a babality or an animality.
Babalities are, I read an article that said they're not going to be in it ever.
I want Liu Kang to drop an arcade cabinet on somebody. That would have been a great fatality in this game. It would have been a throwback. So if you play the game, you can do babalities, animalities, friendamalities? Friendships.
Yeah, something like that.
So
where you make them your friend.
Friendships are usually you don't like kill them. And so there's one where you can drop, I think, like an arcade machine down, and then you can like play it, or like it's just like friendship. But then Liu Kang actually has a fatality that he drops, I believe, an arcade machine on top of somebody. So how insane would that have been in this movie if they'd have been like they were walking down a street and some guy just like dropped an arcade off the back of a truck and it killed somebody, and throw back to that friendship.
Just see the Midway logo on it.
Yeah, because that was Liu Kang's fatality. Was actually his animality, as he turns into a dragon and just kills somebody.
No, that is in the original games. That was one of his fatalities.
Oh.
He turned into this big green dragon and just bit you.
Well, that's stupid. Then what was his animality? Is it just the same thing?
Yeah, because animalities came out way later.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, cooler fatalities.
Well, yeah, look, he's got two fatalities. He turns into a dragon twice. Just bites you twice. So, Easter eggs. Talk a little bit about stuff we read.
We covered Easter eggs.
We covered Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Anything else? Maybe that's all we need to talk about. Maybe it's gonna just do our finale or finish out.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, not unless you want to talk about a character you want to see, which you were getting into with
Baraka. So we'll do the Baraka, and then
I covered the ones. Yeah, I covered the ones that I wanted to see.
So I'd like to see Baraka in the sequel. Baraka is a race from Outworld. There are tons of different realms, and usually they're kind of like an overlord type race. They're always lackeys, usually of Shao Kahn. They're allied with them, and there's just something about Baraka. He was such a unique character in the game, so different than everybody other characters. You have all the ninjas, you have Liu Kang, you have Sonya, Jax, and then you just have this creature, which is Baraka, the blades in his hands. And he just was so different. That's why I loved playing him. And he had the cool move that I do to everybody that spam him.
Chop chop.
Chop chop move. And then obviously Cabal. So it was Cabal and Baraka were my go-to guys in that game. So to see them coming in would be sweet.
Here's a fun fact about Baraka. He first made his appearance in Mortal Kombat 3. And that was still a straight-up motion capture game where you stood in front of the camera and did all the moves. Do you know how they got Baraka to look like Baraka?
Give him a mask?
Yep. It was a Michaels Myers mask. With fake nails super glued on it.
I like it.
Yep.
That is pretty sweet.
And then if you are kind of wondering about like what Baraka might look like in the new one, if they do bring him in, he's gonna have a mouth kind of like Melina had, because she's like half of his race.
Yep. And they did prosthetics for her, so that was kind of cool rather than just seeing straight up CGI. So it'll be interesting seeing where they go with that, if they go CGI or.
I hope it's the big mouth the whole time though, not this weird. Normal mouth into big mouth.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they can go a lot of directions with it, but other than that, anything else you want to bring up? Talk about Mortal Kombat 2 stint?
No,
that's about it. Well, I'd like to thank you guys for listening to our 2 episodes on Mortal Kombat. In the making, I would like to talk about maybe 1995 movie, going back and maybe even do a watching session. Have us sit down, chill, and watch it and talk about it.
Speaking of that, you know what I think we could do for a watching session? Have you seen the Mortal Kombat Legacy show? I have not watched that at all yet.
That's the one on YouTube?
No, it's on HBO.
Yeah, I think if Legacy is the one you're talking about, I think it's the one that was originally on streaming on YouTube.
It's got all the original actors. I know that because I saw Shang Tsung, and it's the same Shang Tsung from.
Maybe it's a different one then. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, we could do.
There's the one where my favorite episode is they have Raiden and he like gets teleported down to Earth and then he's like lost his memory or is insane or something. Have you saw that at all?
No, I haven't. I didn't look into it at all. So something I wanted to bring to you.
All right, well maybe we'll look into that, and then. Who knows, wherever it goes, maybe we'll talk about the Annihilation one, even though I hate that movie with a passion. There's so many things that are wrong with that movie, but
it's got your favorite character in it.
It's got MK in it. It doesn't got Baraka, does it?
Yep.
What does it? How did I miss Baraka?
He gets hit by a hammer and falls into a flaming pit. And if you watch that scene,
that's right.
It's so Rain also gets kicked into a flaming pit.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch that scene real close, They didn't even reshoot it. They just cropped Rain falling into the fire pit again.
I was just waiting for that to be like, was it the movie where he like falls in the pit and he's like not dead? He takes like 20 minutes to die while he's down there. He's like, oh, the pain, the horror. I was like, it's just like Rain sitting in this fire pit, just dying slowly, and he just Shao Kahn just like, you just died, fool. But all right, guys, we'll wrap this up right about the 15-minute mark here. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening to us jibber jabber for a while. If you like this, please comment down below what you thought about it, what you thought about the movie. Subscribe, like the video. If there's anything else you want us to talk about Mortal Kombat related, whether it be history of characters or the movie in general, let us know. I would be glad to sit down and talk about it. So,
heck, I mean, in all honesty, I'll talk to Corey about just about anything. So you got something you want to see me and Corey talk about? Feel free.
Literally anything. So, but other than that, we'll let you guys go. I appreciate it. We'll see you in the next episode of Max Level. Peace.